So people always ask how we met each other, and it's a long story, but it starts with the Turks and Caicos.
My husband and I were sitting at home watching House Hunters International, and the TV program was about buying a home in the Turks and Caicos. And I thought, wow, that really looks like a pretty great place. I think I'd like to go there. Well, the very next day we were sitting out by our swimming pool, and I opened the magazine, and the full 2-page ad was the Turks and Caicos. And I went, well, that's weird. 2 times in 2 days, Turks and Caicos. On day 3, I was working, and I was probably doing something I shouldn't, but I was sitting down reading a magazine at work, and I happened to read Eva Longoria and Tony Parker just got back from their honeymoon in the Turks and Caicos. How weird. So I said to my colleague, I said, Natalie, do you know anybody who's been to the Turks and Caicos? As this woman comes out of the bathroom and says,
oh, my son just went there. He went with some friends. Oh, really? Who's your son? Says Jen.
So we started talking about the Turks and Caicos, and she kind of mentioned how she keeps getting the short end of the stick because she's either moving one kid from Chicago to Boston or Boston to Chicago. And
if his brother Casey was organized, we would never have be here tonight for the wedding.
We just started talking, and she had told me that her son, and I couldn't quite hear his name because it was an airplane and there's a lot of noise on the airplane, had just taken a cooking class and had something about working for the Attorney General or Governor. I couldn't quite hear everything.
Jen should be with the FBI, not the airlines. She asked me 1,000 questions about my son, but I was never allowed to say what my son did because my kind of people, newspaper people, are not supposed to know about government people. So I finally said, well, he works in government. Well, doing what? And I finally said, well, he works for the governor. Oh, the governor, she's a friend of my mother's. No problem. And then she said, but is your son single?
Oh, no, not for me. I'm married. I'm happily married. But I got this friend, Susie, and she just can't seem to meet a nice guy to save her life.
And she said, but I got a picture of her. And she grabbed into her purse and found a picture of Susie and said, here's my friend. Don't you think your son would like to go out with her? Does your son cook? I said, well, he's learning to cook. Oh, good. She's a chef, too.
She went to the restroom and just was gone. And I was there sitting alone. And she was gone a long time, sort of like being in the parking lot, waiting for her to come back from the grocery store. She came back and she gave me her typical line, "You'll never guess what I did now."
When I got off the plane, I called Susie and said, Susie, you are going to kill me.
You're going to kill me? She's like, you are going to kill me, but I talked to this woman on this flight and she has a son. I'm like, oh no, she's setting me up with some random passenger's son who she's never met, who's from Seattle, and great. Okay, my dating life has officially hit rock bottom.
I went into the house and I said, now, John, don't shout at me until I'm done with my story. And he went, you met a woman on a plane who has a friend and you want me to go out with her. I said, well, I don't know anything about her, but you could at least email her.
I just sort of was rolling my eyes and was like, I can't believe this is happening. Basically, I was like, sure. And was like, Mom's like, do you want me to do some of this? It's like, look, I've been on plenty of bad dates and been on lots of blind dates. I was like, how bad could it be? I was like, I'll buy the cocktails just to find out how this story ends.
I misunderstood her name. I thought she said that her last name was Lang, L-A-N-G, not Lane, L-A-N-E. So I immediately got off the airplane when we landed, and I called my mom, who had friends at the Attorney General's office, and said, hey, you got to find this Lang guy at the Attorney General's office.
Mom, later in the day, sends me this email saying that she had received this email from Jen, and she gives me this whole chain of email, which in it says, well, I couldn't remember your last name. I thought it was Lang, so I was looking up Tim Lang, and then I realized that wasn't it, because I knew that you had something to do with the Attorney General's office, but I forgot that it was the Governor's office, and so then I looked up a Greg Lane, but then I realized that wasn't it, and so I'm reading this, of course, and now panicking, because I know these people, and I'm like, I can't have some crazy woman out there checking me out with these other people that I have to work with.
And I called my mom and said, will you call the family friends and ask them to ask the governor if he's a nice guy? And my mom said that she didn't think that was good official state business, but I did.
I immediately shot back to Mom like, stop this, you know, like, I will take care of it from here. Don't let her check anybody out any further.
So she said that John was intrigued and that I should get Susie's email to her. And so I did that, and I took it a step further, and I sent a picture of Susie without asking or getting picture approval.
And I thought the picture was hideous. I couldn't believe she sent that picture. I'm like, that's terrible. Why did you send that picture?
I think Susie looks really cute in this picture. She just looks happy. It shows what she loves to do. It's Susie.
So then John gets this email, and it's got a picture attached of Susie cooking. And he forwards it to me, and he's like, look, she is actually cute. Mom actually did okay.
It was later that day, I think, actually, I got an email from Susie because she had said that she'd gotten the information from Jen, and so she emailed me. And actually, she sent this photo. This was the one that first came there. So, I mean, how can you not like the turkey? I mean, hey.
And thinking about the emails, what impressed me with John's email skills was A, that he was a technological person and was up to emailing, and B, that he was actually a very good writer, and I appreciated that he seemed educated.
Susie sent me, an email saying, you can call me if you'd like. And so I called her, and it was a Monday. It was August 27th, and I can't remember, she was flying still, and so her schedule was kind of busy, and then my schedule that week was kind of busy. And I sort of said, well, what does your schedule look like? And I can't remember, but somehow I said, well, I'm available tonight. And she said, perfect, that works. So we ended up going out that night, and I suggested that maybe we go to Union because I knew she was a foodie, so I couldn't take her to Olive Garden.
And we all read all the emails as they came in, which I probably don't remember them as best as I can, but the point is they went out. So I remember hearing that he was going to take her to Union, and we all thought, oh, thank God, a really good guy. I mean, a real, honest to God, good date, like opening door date, like paying the bill date, like a nice restaurant date. It was awesome. We were all just so happy for Susie.
Shortly after their first date, I went down to Starbucks, and John and I had always gone to Starbucks together, and like our tradition was to like buy the local papers and read them over a cup of coffee. And I went down to Starbucks and realized that John was cheating on me, and Susie and John were at Starbucks reading, the Seattle Times and the New York Times together, sharing coffee. And I went up to her and I said, do you actually like reading the paper and drinking coffee? And she said, yeah, I love doing this. And that's when I knew they would be together for a very long time. I couldn't compete.
The first time that I met John, I was just so excited. We were at our friend Chemo and Tim's house for a barbecue, and I kind of wasn't going to go, but when I found out John was going to be there, I knew that I had to go. And I ran, not walked, I ran, because I was just so excited to meet John finally. And I knew from that time, I just knew that this was meant to be, and they were meant to be together. They have always seemed so comfortable together and just happy together, and they get each other's jokes, and they're just one of those special couples that you find so rarely, and I love them.
They can have this napkin for the rest of their lives. It is the key to their success.
And now we're going to the Turks and Caicos, of course, for our honeymoon.
Where else would we go?
Disneyland?
So it all comes full circle. We're back to the Turks and Caicos.
We're back.
I guess I'm back.
You're back.
You're there for the first time.
I'm there. Yes.